Hello, my name is Ken Pasternak.
And my name is Mark Jenkins. We're both co-authors of the book Performance at the Limit, Business Lessons from Formula One. Our third author, Richard West, can't be with us today, but he's with us in spirit.
Well, from our research of having looked at Formula One and the teams of Formula One over the last 10 years or more, we noticed that the teams operate in the same kind of dynamics and same situations as other businesses do globally. They have to operate at the limits of their technical performance, their human potential, and also their financial reserves.
The latest edition really is a totally new book. We've completely rewritten it, restructured the book. Clearly we've updated it. We have new regulations, we have new teams, most notably the Mercedes team. And so the Mercedes Formula One team feature quite strongly in the book, and we've been very lucky to have full cooperation from them in getting interviews and data. I think the main difference with the book is that we've been able to focus down on those critical areas that organisations really find interesting about Formula One, which really is about learning, teamwork, innovation and change.
With the many changes that occurs in this industry, each edition of our book we've included new people, and for this third edition we've interviewed quite a number of people who were not included in the second or the first edition, including, for example, the focus on Mercedes. We've had a great discussion with Toto Wolff, both in his office and at one of the races in the motorhome. He gave us great guidance and understanding about what he's trying to achieve as a leader, trying to handle two superstars at the same time, who are very competitive but also have to work for the team at the same time. And we also then had the privilege to interview Niki Lauda, who also wrote a foreword for us for the book, which we're very pleased about.
The other interesting thing in this edition is that of the 11 Formula One teams, 2 of them are being led by women. And Claire Williams and Monisha Colton-Burns both contributed to the book. We were able to interview them. And also a driver, Susie Wolff, who was at the time Williams' reserve driver. So we were able to get some really good insights from them on some of the challenge of being a woman and leading an organisation in a very male-dominated context.
We also had a chance to interview some of the people who observe Formula One and understand it from an outsider's point of view, but an insider's understanding of the business. Journalists, for example, and TV broadcasters like Martin Brundle, Kevin Eason, Joe Soward, and a few others were very helpful to give us insights into their views of what's happening in Formula One. There have been quite a number of developments in Formula One which are natural in any industry, particularly a regulated industry. So as the rules change, the teams have to adapt. They have to continually learn and develop their capabilities, their technology has to shift. So there's developments along that lines. There's also been a resurgence of some of the teams that weren't doing so well, and some of the teams that we were hoping to do well have not lived up to their expectations. So there's this heavy competition in this industry, which causes teams to develop or fall back. We've also seen some new faces come from the last edition of the book, either in management of teams and also as drivers. Particularly the development of young drivers. We've had one driver who was driving in Formula One even before he had his driver's license to drive on the road.
It's interesting that the rate of competition is so intense. You know, every race everyone improves by around 1/10 of a second. So if you don't improve, you go backwards, and organisations can really relate to that. The other interesting thing is that with regulation, in many organisations they see regulation as a threat. In Formula One it's an opportunity to show how good you are. So they really thrive on the change and the challenge they're continually facing. Clearly we're not suggesting that businesses become Formula One teams. They're very specialist organisations. But the thing that they are incredibly good at doing is learning and adapting. They constantly develop, learning from their competitors, responding to regulations and developing their own innovations. It's that speed of learning that makes Formula One so incredible. And if organisations can get close to that kind of pace of learning, they'll outperform all their competitors.
And one of the things that we've done in the latest edition is to reconfirm the 12 lessons that we'd like to pull out of Formula One. And what we found in our speaking engagements and teaching engagements around the book is that most of these resonate with organizations, no matter what industry they're in, no matter what country they're from. Well, with our focus on the Formula One teams, one of the things that we see for next year is a very major change in the regulations. We had a step change in regulation 2 years ago when the teams changed from V8 engines to V6 hybrid engines. And it's not perhaps spoken about as much as it should be, that these cars are actually running much more fuel efficient than they had in the past, based on this hybrid technology. In fact, we don't even call them engines any longer, we call them power units. But next year we're going to see even additional changes to the cars, to the tires, additional downforce, which helps the cars stay stuck to the track and allows them to go faster. So the teams are already adjusting to this, and here we are at the summer break for Formula One in mid-year, and they're already working on their cars for 2017.
I think one of the challenges they face is something that many organisations are dealing with, the issue of big data. Formula One car generates around 10,000 channels of digital information that need to be interpreted and acted upon. And I think the teams are finding ways to do this, but it's a major challenge to deal with that complexity in order to improve performance.
In terms of who's going to win Formula One this year, it seems the Mercedes teams once again is in the lead and will continue to be in the lead. One of their two drivers would certainly win the championship this year. Lewis Hamilton has come on very strong after a very difficult start, and he seems to have the mojo to keep him there. But there are many people hoping for Nico Rosberg to nip him at the post, but they're all getting rejuvenated during the summer break, and let's see what happens when we come back.
There's another race going on which is perhaps less publicised, and that is that this year there is a pit stop challenge for which team can do the fastest pit stops. We focus quite strongly around the dynamics of the pit stop because it's an incredible example of teamwork. And currently Williams have done the fastest pit stop in 10 out of the 12 Grand Prix. There are 9 left. Mercedes have done 2 out of the 12. So my money's on Williams to win the pit stop challenge in 2016.
And in terms of the other point that Mark made earlier about continual learning, Williams was one of the worst teams in terms of pit stops last year. They really focused on how they can improve continual feedback and research and review of how they can improve their performance, and they've shown it on the track.